So, taking a look now at Bradford Park Avenue, I'd like to say joining us, as always, is Lewis Sale. Lewis, thanks for joining, mate.
No worries, guys. No worries.
How are you?
Been better, but that 3 wins in a row seems a distant memory. But yeah, not too bad in the overall. Really, we just need a win, don't we?
Yeah, it's one of those situations again for the Avenue. Since we were last on, I think Avenue have drawn 0-0 away at Alfreton. They lost on Saturday at home against Farsley in the FA Trophy, and then suffered a last-minute defeat at Banbury on Tuesday night. Let's start with the key things, I suppose. How was your pint at Banbury that was paid for by the club? What a cracking little touch that is in non-league football.
Just simply marvellous. It went down a treat when it was about 5 degrees in Oxfordshire on a Tuesday night. Yeah. Um, no, to be fair, they were probably the most hospitable club we've come across so far this season. It was segregated, so there were only 8 of us that were segregated on a Tuesday. But they couldn't have made us feel any more welcome. They explained the reasons why it was segregated. They said, you've got access to the food hut, you can have a drink from here. A member of the board came about 10, 15 minutes into the first half, introduced himself, shook everyone's hand that were with us. Again, explained the situation as to why we were segregated, even though there were few numbers of us. Um, we got a free program, and he basically offered to buy us all a drink as well. So, a phenomenal gesture. And yeah, they were brilliant. And even he came back 3 times during the game, I think, to speak to us. And even at the end, offered the opportunity to go back into the clubhouse at the full time and say we can have a drink and stuff. But unfortunately, the way we lost, the quickest thing to do was to get back on the bus and back home. But no, fair play to Banbury. They were a class outfit. And hopefully we can return the favour when the coming season 2023.
Let's depress ourselves and talk about the football on the pitch then. Obviously, that point
Brilliant.
at Alfreton, which seems like a while ago now, I'd imagine, a decent point on the road, a tricky place to go.
Yeah, really gutsy, really brave performance from ourselves at Alfreton. And I mean, again, you know what to expect from Alfreton teams. Pretty direct, pretty physical. You know what you're going to get. And with the likes of Matt Reed up front, but also for me, I think one of the best players in this league on his days, Bailey Hobson, who plays off him. He's a brilliant striker, and to our credit, we gave him really few opportunities. Um, George had made a really good save in the first half from a header, but really, apart from that, there wasn't much in it. Um, it was a tight game. We the setup was perfect, if I'm being honest. And I think the only disappointing thing at the end of the game, unfortunately, is that we actually didn't come away with 3 points because Spencer's had a chance 1-on-1 and the keeper's made a good save. But I think Jamie would have probably been expected to score that one. But I think that's where we are as a team at the moment. We're not playing all that bad. I know we'll probably talk about Farsley and some might disagree, but the biggest part of our game at the moment is just simply not taking the chances when we get them, because we don't get many chances during a game. But when you do get them, you've really got to be clinical, and we're just not clinical enough. And I think that's why we are where we are. We said that at the beginning of the season with our performances. You can play well for as long as you can, but if you're not backing it up with a result, it, it's difficult to take. And that was a situation at Alfreton, and in some respects, we didn't have as many chances, but that was the same at Banbury as well. But take your chances, you win games, or at least you give yourself a bigger chance, don't you? And unfortunately, we know that the quality teams that we come up against are going to press hard and have opportunities against us. And the likes of Farsley took the chances when it mattered to them, and you've got to be better in the opposition's box than the other team, and when you're not, you're likely to lose and or definitely not win.
Yeah, as you say, Farnsley was the trophy game, and I think the first non-league derby of the season between our four sides that we covered on the Route
Mm.
One show. And I mean, before we start recording, what was it? A crock of crap was the words that you used. It wasn't a good performance.
Again, it was one of those where again we had a really good opportunity when it was 0-0. Long bottom had kind of driven through the middle of it, the Farsley midfielding through the defence. And to be fair, he probably could have had a shot himself. Instead, he laid it off to Brad, who it's a great ball. You know, could will have taken it on himself maybe, but then Brad is it a 1-on-1? You know, and the keeper's made a decent save. But for me, you've either got to drag it right across the face of goal, and it just it's that frustrating point where you're 0-0 against your local rivals in a knockout competition game, and again you've not made your chance count, and then you know Farsley have got a free kick, and you know Scales is it's which one in the top corner with a minute before half time, and it's just we all looked at each other. We went, how has this happened? Um, and to Farsley's credit, I know Andy Butler were playing, Adam Clayton wasn't playing. I know they'd got a couple of players back from injury, but Spencer was out, Malone was out. So, when you look at it on paper, people were going, "Oh, you should probably win this." But to Farsley's credit, they were very good on the counter attack. Probably one of the most dangerous teams on the counter attack. And it was almost, for me, my perspective, they played like what we set up as. They let us have possession. We're not used to it. I'm not saying that we um, are not good enough in that situation, but because it's a different situation from what we're used to, we sometimes looked a little bit lacking in ideas and creativity because it's just not how we're set up to play sometimes. But like I say, when we did, we just didn't take the chances when we had them. And like I say, Farsley did an absolute job on us, and credit to them. And I think the frustrating part of our game is that we didn't trouble the keeper enough in that second half. We didn't push on as what we should have done. And yeah, we scored that late consolation, but despite that, it was really frustrating evening because it was an opportunity for us to get through to the next round. Crucially, also have a bit of money. And when you look at the tie back setup, we've got Chester at home and Farley, which is a good crowd, potentially at the Citadel again, and another opportunity against a team in our division to possibly progress. So, yeah, credit to Farsley. They did exactly what they needed to do against Avenue, but it was a really frustrating afternoon.
Yeah, and then moving on to Tuesday night, and as you mentioned, the long trip down to Oxfordshire.
Mm.
A really welcome club. And not a bad performance either, by the sounds of it, but just again not taking the chances. In this case, the sucker punch right at the end led to a 1-0 defeat.
Yeah, like I said, there was no real clear-cut chances that we had. We had a couple of half chances, really, um, from Spencer and Blythe. But I can't really remember George making any save either from Banbury. And I think the most frustrating bit again was that towards the last minute when they got the corner, we gave away possession really cheaply outside, the 20-yard box, 18-yard box. And then from the corner, we've just not switched on. We've let the man come in after the half clearance. We've not been showing it for tackle. And even then, when the ball's deflected, it's deflected straight to their man, right on his boot for him to hit the back of the net. And when you looks out when you're down there. We all know that. But it was really heartbreaking because the players didn't deserve that. We didn't deserve to win, but we didn't deserve to lose. It was another 0-0 game, and for me, it was very much on the similar lines of Chester away when it was again a really cheap goal that we conceded with that long ball direct from the goalkeeper that we just didn't deal with, and it was the same on Saturday Tuesday night. But we've just got to learn really quickly from these lessons because we can't keep on having them. And I think with our lads is they've got a really good spirit. They've got the quality. There's absolutely no denying that. But when you look at the games across the season, we're very much a confidence team where because we are young, the majority of them are 23, 24. Some of them are kids still at the moment. When you're losing and you looks out, it can really hurt them. You can tell that on the pitch, and sometimes when it's just not going your way, it's really hard to get that momentum going. When we won 3 in a bounce, that third game we were flying. We looked like we could match anybody, and I think you get that with an inexperienced team. You don't necessarily potentially get that with a team of older heads, experienced players who've been there and done it and got up towards the leagues and playoffs, etc. So, you've got to get experience somewhere, and they are doing it, a decent enough job. But I think the real frustrating part is that we've just not got what we've deserved, but it's a results business, as we all know, and you've got to make sure that those performances like the Tuesday nights at Banbury, you don't come away with a loss. And for ourselves, it's absolutely crucial that you almost use that as fuel for Saturday against Boston because there's no point dwelling on it because once you dwell on it, you're just losing, more and more games. And it's one of those where you can say, right, lads, you know how you felt on Tuesday. Make sure you don't feel like that again.
You just touched on it there, the fact that it's boss on Saturday, which we'll come to in a moment. I just want to touch on a new arrival since we were last on as well. Jordan Preston, of course, coming in from Spennymoor. Who, something that I've seen a little bit of. He was a Guiseley man
Yeah,
back in the National
yeah,
League days. A talented player as well back then, if not a bit of a one-trick pony. It has to be said. His party trick was always down that left wing, cut into the right, and shoot. And to be fair, he scored what 3 or 4 at least really good efforts from the exact same thing. But
yeah.
he never mixed it up a bit. Has he changed?
Well, he's only played about an hour in total over the past 2 games, and he's been played on the right side. So maybe he's trying to put him on the right side, Scotland on his left. Who knows? Might have changed changed tactic a bit with that. But there's no doubt when after watching Jordan, and you know far better than me when you've watched him, he has got a quality about him. I think the difficult thing is he's not played a lot of minutes. He's been coming off the bench or spending more for about 5 or 10 minutes here and there, really. So he's obviously got to get his match fitness up to speed with us. But the benefit is that he does know this league. He isn't an out and out striker. We all know that. He's almost that attacking midfield number 10 kind of role. That might get the best out of him. He's going to get game time with us. There's no doubt about that. He's got to be playing off the likes of Jacob Blythe because, like I said, Jacob's game is a bit more of a target man, which might benefit Jordan, but hopefully we get the best out of him for the next, 2.5, say, months now that we've got him, to hopefully help us through, another busy schedule. But yeah, I mean, it's credit to, like I say, the development fund that we've got that have helped make that happen, really, because, without that, it's been difficult to get some players in. We've seen over the past, 12, 18 months, the likes of Harrison Hopper, Sam Fielding, Brad Doherty coming back, Jacob Blythe as well. It's been helped by the contributions of the development fund. So, it's a big thing, and it's that kind of extra investment that the club needs to stay in this division. Cause it's just crucial that the club does, as the funding comes in next year as well. I believe from the Premier League, but also just the perspective of staying in the National League North against the teams that you're playing. The crowds that you get, also, let's be honest, the media coverage that you still continue to get in the National League North, it's vital. And we've been in this division since 2012, and for us to slip out this division would be, I think would really hurt us. And it's got to be said that the club have got to, really focus on making sure that first team is equipped to stay in this division because it's capable, but it needs some support. And the likes of Mark and Danny have done really well over the years, but they really need that help to make sure that they can do the job to the best they can to get the best out of the players and make sure that we're out of that bottom 4.
Before we look at Farnsley, for Avenue, as we said on Saturday, Boston at home, and a side that kind of picked up a little bit following changes in management.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough when you look at Culverhouse and what he's done to Boston. They were, pretty much bottom of the league, and now they're up to 15th, 16th on a really good run of form. I think they've picked up wins against, Kidderminster, the likes of Kidderminster, I believe, filed as well potentially. So they're going to be a really tough team, and we know that the quality that they've got. They were in the playoffs. They were 90 minutes away from going up last season. Not saying it. Well, I am saying it. I didn't think they'd last down there towards, at the bottom of the league for the rest of the season. They've got too much quality to get out of that. But from our perspective, we've just got to match them because they're going to be confident. And let's be honest, we're not going to be after Tuesday night. We've got to make our own look. We've got to really, fight, dig in, and show our quality a lot more. But yeah, I mean, the likes of Boston, you'd expect to be, especially around the top 10. But from the teams we've already seen, it's going to be tough because there's some good teams we faced. Banbury on Tuesday night. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they were in the top 10. We played Peterborough Sports the other week. They are the real surprise package of the league so far, and they look good enough to, maintain that challenge towards the top end of the table. So, they are playing catch up. But let's say when you look through the team and the players that they've got, and let's be honest, he could easily recruit as well towards the end of the season to make a final push. The no pushovers at Boston, so it's going to be a challenge for Avenue. But like I say, it's just got to it's got to turn very quickly for us to remain this division.
Yeah, fingers crossed for a positive Avenue result come Saturday. Quickly, just looking at Farsley before we wrap up for them. Off the back of the win in the trophy, of course, at the Horsfall, they lost on Tuesday night to Chester by 2-0.
Yeah, and you know what, Chester are flying at the moment. You know, Callum McIntyre's got them playing so well at the moment. I think, you know, when you look at the results, they've not lost since mid-October, which is a brilliant run of form. You look at Chester, so for them to go, you know, that unbeaten for so long shows what they're capable of doing. Again, I know beginning of this season they were struggling, new management, a high turnover of players, but you know, from what Callum's done in the youth academy at Chester, he's taken that now into first team form as well. And you look at the teams that have been going to Farsley is difficult. To go on a Tuesday night is probably for more difficult, but to come away 2-0 win, keeping a clean sheet, you're following up from, you know, draws against Leamington, who were a tricky team, away at Banbury drawing 2-2. You know, and again, they sneaked past us 1-0. It's those kind of victories that will help you get up the division. We might potentially not be playing the best football of the division, but when you become a hard team to beat, but you're able to score goals, that seems the way they're going. And I think from Farz's perspective, you know, they might be disappointed in that, and it's a dress rehearsal for the FA Trophy game that's coming up. But I think the thing is for us is getting players back. You know, like I say, we're getting Spencer back, we're getting Mulhern back, Andy Butler's back to fitness, Adam Clayton, we're on the bench, is coming back to fitness as well. So, you know, when I saw Farsley for the first time against ourselves, they stand a decent chance of staying up. Again, it's that strength in depth and making sure the players are fit, because they're always a tough team to face. And I think, like I say, when they've got a really tough game coming up, obviously at the weekend, haven't they, Farsley? So it's going to be, you know, Peterborough Sports. That's going to be, I think, next weekend. Sorry, that's going to be a really difficult one, but it's a good test for them because, you know, we've got to pick up wins and draws away from home as well now.
Yeah, as you say, it's a free weekend for Farsley this weekend, and then they travel to Lincoln Road, take on Peterborough Sports on the 3rd of December, and then Kings Lynn, I think, visit the Citadel on a Tuesday night. So that's quite a long trek as well, it's fair to say, for Kings Lynn. Lewis, thanks for joining us as always, mate. We can thankfully gloss over Guiseley and Lewis Hinch as we covered them earlier with Tom Feeney. A busy week, shall we say? But yeah, thanks for joining us, mate. And here's to a positive Avenue performance on Saturday. Also, though, I suppose if Bowser's in the market for an experienced centre half, I know there's one going.
My lips are sealed, my friend. But
Stranger
you
things
know
have
what?
happened.
He can still do a job, can't he, can Danny?
He can indeed. Cheers, mate. Look forward to speaking to you next week.
Cheers, buddy. Catch you later.